However, also looking gorgeous is former Mayor of Middlesbrough and political commentator Andy Preston, who I'm going to talk to first, evidently. Who knows what's going on? Andy, good to talk to you. Also looking very gorgeous. Rachel Reeves, another day. Seriously, I'll show you, right? Where is it? This is Rachel Reeves' tax promises and stories put out from the last 5 days. I mean, we've still got a month to go.
Oh, Dawn, and these stories are going to continue coming. Look, what they're doing now is they're scrabbling around. This is, to be fair to the government, Dawn, they are in an extraordinarily bad position, the worst position that any government has been in for decades now. We spend too much. We expect too much. We want better services, but we want lower taxes. And the truth is, in the 90s and early 2000s, economic growth was strong enough to generate the taxes to get better services and more money for the things we like. Growth has flatlined for a while, so the only way we've kept things going is by borrowing more. Well, the chickens are coming home to roost, so we're going to have to pay more tax or slash spending, or maybe a bit of both. So what Reeves is doing is floating loads of ideas. Everything's going to be unpopular. It's working out what's least unpopular. And pensions and the tax benefits of investing in your pension might be a good place for her to start. Let's see what the feedback is. It's not going to be good either way.
My absolute favourite story today, Andy, because, I mean, if you can't laugh at this by now, right, you are going to go completely insane. My favourite story today is that Rachel Reeves is set to slash spending by up to £5 billion a year, but the cuts will only start in the next Parliament.
Yeah, it's great, John. It's I'm sorry to be rude, it's mental. You know, the government spends about £1 trillion a year. So 5 billion is literally almost nothing. It's a lot to us. It's nothing in the big picture. Do you know what they have to do? They have to bite the bullet and cut welfare spending. We spend 30% of all that money, Dawn, something like 300 billion a year. If we reduce it by just half of 1% a year, it would save 15 to 18 billion by the end of this term, which is about thirds of the gap she's got to close. But governments, especially Labour, are terrified of doing that because of the backlash from their backbenchers.
I mean, she seems to have survived, or do you think she has, Andy, the fiasco over her house and whether she had a licence to rent it out, etc., etc.? I mean, that seems to have been decided on in 48 hours. Nothing to see here. No one has done anything wrong. Let's all move on, despite the fact what she actually did is a criminal offence, and ignorance is no defence in the eyes of the law. But do you think she's got away with that? Do you think that's going away now, or do you think there's more to come on that one?
Well, first of all, I would say you never know, but my gut feel, Dawn, is that she's got away with it. You know what? There's a lot of misrepresentation about this in the press, saying that it was the estate agent's fault. It's not, you know. She is legally responsible for submitting that form, just like your own tax return. You might pay an accountant to bring it together, but you are legally responsible for the contents and making sure it's submitted on time. I think in the great scheme of things, it's not the worst crime. It's an admin error, I think. But for Rachel Reeves and for all of us, it's clearly one of a whole string of dodgy things that have gone on, whether it's accepting tickets for concerts, free clothes, plagiarising Wikipedia pages for your own stuff, your CV being somewhat fabricated. Not the biggest crime in the world, but I think the pressure's building. But the reason she won't go in the short term, in my opinion, is she's so closely linked with Starmer. They're a double act, and it's exceedingly difficult for him to get rid of her.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days, and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
I mean, isn't that the bottom line with this one, Andy? The fact is that PMs can't get rid of their chancellors because that means they are toast as well.
Totally. I actually think they're both toast on medium term. There's no comeback on it. There's no coming back from this position. Growth is too low. There's going to be more tax rises this year, probably next. And public pessimism about the future isn't going away. And when you're a politician in power, if the public's pessimistic, you're finished. And Boris Johnson was great at whipping up optimism. Some would say it was false optimism, but he created optimism. Starmer and Reeves have done the opposite. They instill pessimism wherever they go.
Brilliant. Always a strong opinion from Andy Preston there, a former mayor of Middlesbrough and political commentator. Andy, thank you so much for joining us today. OK, now I've kept her. She's not going anywhere, by the way. Olivia Utley, who's just been presenting marvellously, one would say, a 2.5-hour show herself, is still in the studio and now is going to talk more about... Olivia, though, thank you so much for staying. I love that dress, by the way. I've got to talk about this story in the Mail today, right? I said when we introduced the show that what has Rachel Reeves got in common with the back end of a bus? Lots of comments, by the way. I can't read any of them out. I'm sorry, but I might later on. But Olivia, this licence for a house story, I mean, it's still filling the pages in newspapers. And in Southwark, which is the London borough in which she lives and where this law-breaking, because that's what it is, happened, there was a huge publicity campaign saying, all residents, this is what's going to happen. If you're renting your house out, you need a licence. And those adverts were literally on the back end of buses.
It's amazing, isn't it? I don't know how she could possibly have missed this. Obviously, on the face of it, it looks quite similar to the Angela Rayner scandal. I think what's odd about this story is Rachel Reeves has essentially made herself look worse than she actually is. When the story first came out, she said she had no idea that she was supposed to have a rental licence. And then these emails between her husband and the lettings agency were revealed, which showed that actually the lettings agency said, would you like us to apply for this licence on your behalf? And Rachel Reeves' husband, Nicholas Joycey, said, yes, please, go ahead. The letting agency then failed to do that. Well, that is a lot more excusable than the original defence which Rachel Reeves came out with, which was that she didn't know that these licences were needed. Odd breakdown of communication, it seems, between Rachel Reeves and her own husband.
Exactly, but they're not talking to one another. I mean, you know, having a chat while they're washing up the dishes, I'm assuming one of them does washes up.
Given what happened to Angela Rayner, you would have thought that the Chancellor would be pretty keen to get her story very straight before she came out with her defence to Keir Starmer. It sounds as though she is under so much pressure at the moment. It wasn't very long ago that she was seen crying in the House of Commons. She's probably dreading the budget at the end of November as much as the rest of us all are. And perhaps she just reacted in a sort of knee-jerk, instinctive reaction, trying to defend herself without really thinking through what she should say, which I think is quite worrying for the budget. I mean, we were all expecting this budget to be catastrophic for public finances, worrying for our own purse strings. At the moment, it seems as though the Exchequer is briefing out that income tax might rise. It would be the first time, amazingly, since 1975 that the headline rate of income tax has gone up. There are people who are now suggesting that perhaps Rachel Reeves is doing all these briefings, getting that word out, and so that when the budget does happen, she can not raise income tax, and then at least all the other measures won't seem quite so bad by comparison. Perhaps this is just the Treasury's way of managing expectations.
I mean, as we were talking to Andy just now, I mean, it's impossible for Keir Starmer to get rid of her because PMs, Prime Ministers, just do not get rid of the Chancellors because it's accepting that they're being useless as well.
Well, exactly, because the Prime Minister is the Lord Treasury, top of the Exchequer, basically. His top job is controlling the nation's finances. He chooses a Chancellor who will carry out his economic plan. It does not work to get rid of your Chancellor. But Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer are in a very, very tight spot here because they promised again and again, and lots of advisers said that it wasn't wise over the course of the election campaign not to raise taxes on working people, so national insurance, income tax or VAT. They are now desperately trying to find some kind of loophole to get around that. So there's talk that at the last budget we saw that the Chancellor raised national insurance but on employers. Well, obviously that feeds down
that is really
to the
splitting
employee.
hairs,
but it sounds as though they're going to do something quite similar this time round with a raid on pensions pensions costs, which is one way of sort of raising taxes on working people, because it will cost the average worker £210 a year, but without raising any of those headline taxes, which would be blatant manifesto breaches.
Yeah, I mean, the other story floating around today was wealthy Britons who leave UK face settling up charges, so she's going to fine you for leaving the country.
Well, it's not surprising that she's trying to do something about that, because the number of billionaires leaving the UK is just going up and up. It started when the Chancellor introduced the non-doms tax. Obviously, that was a Conservative policy, actually, which Labour then went and introduced. But we are seeing, hundreds of billionaires a year leaving Britain. And also, you have this problem. I've been saying this morning that I think there's an issue with a perfect storm for the high street, which we already know the British high street is already in trouble. But with minimum wage going up, it becomes more expensive to employ people in hospitality jobs. You've got business rates still sky high. The Conservatives have said that they would abolish business rates altogether. Not sure if that's financially plausible, but it would help. It would shove in the right direction, if you like. And then you've got this workers' rights bill, which will make it much, much harder for employers to take anyone on. Plus that rise in national insurance tax. It's basically going to be very, very difficult to employ anyone on around minimum wage. And as we know, hospitality jobs really, really depend on those people.
Rachel might be heading to the pub very soon, the way she's going. To be honest, thank you very much, Olivia Utley. Always good to see you. Thank you very much. OK, now, let me know what you think about all of that. gbnews.com/your say. Are you feeling optimistic about the budget? I can guess the answer on that one.